belonged to Larry Bird, who hit a personal career playoff high 39 points and led the Celtics into the next round. The Celtics watched most of the playoffs on TV last year because the Milwaukee Bucks beat them badly, but this year they were more relaxed. The Bucks waltzed through Atlanta, then took the Nets in 6. But then came Boston. The Celtics had the league's best record and were set on revenge. They won 2 in Boston, and coach Don Nelson couldn't stop them from taking Game 3 in Milwaukee. Paul McHale checked in for Buck center Bob Lanier. This might have been the great veteran's last hurrah. In fact, about the only Milwaukee bright spot was the play of the unlikely McHale, who scored 12 points in averting a Boston sweep. But the Celtics completed their turnaround in Boston and charged into the finals. In the West, a spirited battle was being waged between youth and experience. The Dallas Mavericks, an expansion team making its first playoff appearance, won their first game at home, led by its young star, Mark Aguirre, the league's second leading scorer. But in the second game, score tied, Seattle went to veteran Gus Williams.
They get it to Gus. Oh, he got it! He got it, and Seattle wins! Gus Williams banks it off the glass at the buzzer.
The series was tied 2-2, and the deciding game was played at Southern Methodist University. Seattle led, but Dallas hung tough, and Rolando Blackman put up a clutch jumper that sent the game into overtime. With the series on the line, the young Mavericks just wanted it more. This was their first big-time battle, and they played hungrier. And with the Texas fans cheering them on, they won by a whisper, 105-104. Coach Frank Layden had the Utah Jazz at their peak.
I think that ours was the most amazing athletic feat of the year. I think that there wasn't another baseball team, basketball team, football team, hockey, who was picked to come in so low and to do so poorly and yet achieve so much.
The Jazz won the Midwest Division title, beat the Denver Nuggets in round 1, and beat the Phoenix Suns in game 1, round 2. Coach John McLeod's Suns had struggled all season, but won their last 8 regular season games and then upset the strong Portland Trail Blazers in the first round. Larry Nance was developing into a dominant force in the league as the Suns won games 2, 3, and 4. Walter Davis, nicknamed the Greyhound, led the Suns as they won in 6 and ran into the conference finals. The Greyhound was going to need a fast start and a lot of drive, however, to keep up with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers had swept the Kansas City Kings and lost only 1 game in beating Dallas. The squad was deep and strong and overwhelmingly talented. The Lakers took the first game easily, and the second, as Magic Johnson dished out a playoff record 24 assists. Things were looking dark for Phoenix, but at this late hour, the Suns came out at night. Led by the streaking Greyhound, Phoenix rose from their ashes and won Game 3. LA took Game 4, however, and returned home needing only a victory to reach the finals. But the Suns refused to go down. Davis was brilliant, and Larry Nance skied as the Suns won going away, and the series surprisingly returned to Phoenix. The Lakers were concerned but intense, young veterans in another pressure situation. With time winding down, the Lakers were up by 2. The Suns needed a basket to tie. The Lakers squeezed through and entered their 3rd consecutive championship series, their 4th in the last 5 years. Historic struggles between the Celtics and Lakers have defined the NBA Finals. Boston had beaten the Lakers 7 times without a loss, but that was long ago. A tradition felt more by today's fans than today's players. Now there is a new dynamic, Larry Bird and Earvin Magic Johnson. Earvin became Magic at Michigan State University, and in the 1979 NCAA Finals, he led his team to the national title over Larry Bird and Indiana State. They entered the NBA the same year and quickly developed into superstars, and the two have always been compared and contrasted. The 1984 NBA World Championship Series was a media circus.
I don't know, what can you guys really work on in practice after the performance on Sunday? I mean,
each team was strong, and the game was filled with fine players and engaging personalities. The court coverage was intense, in the press, and on the tube. This was prime time. The Lakers arrived in Boston tired the day after beating Phoenix. They would have only 1 day's rest before beginning the finals. They held practice in their hotel ballroom to keep the travel to a minimum. The Celtics, on the other hand, were rested, loose, and very much at home. Casey Jones was the major link to the traditional Celtic greatness, having played on 8 championship Celtic teams. He knew the psychological value of those flags flying in Boston Garden. The Celtics had compiled the league's best record, and the loud and rabid Boston fans cheered them as if on a crusade. Abdul-Jabbar had come down with a serious migraine, missed practice, and was not expected to be at his best. But it was the Lakers who got off quickly. Coach Pat Riley ran his team with precision, and the Lakers ran off to a 20-6 lead and never looked back. Casey Jones tried to slow down the Laker drive, but it was Abdul-Jabbar who set the tone of the game. Though consistently double-teamed, he hit the open man, rebounded, and led the Lakers in scoring despite the effects of the migraine. It was an overpowering performance, and Celtics center Robert Parish, who had not faced a dominating big man so far in the playoffs, simply could not handle it.
Well, he was on fire. You know, everything he threw up went in just about. You know, he shot the ball very well. You know, it's going to be one of those days. What can I say about it?
They came off one day's plane ride and then just started right off and going at us. And they just went out and just took the game away from us in that first quarter.
Kareem finished with 32 points and more praise from his coach.
He's a very gallant, proud man who has accomplished everything that any man can accomplish in sport. He impresses me because he's a man, and this game was for men only today. If that thing would have been pulsating and pounding, I think he would have showed up.
Kareem had a more concrete description of his frequent migraine attacks.
It's like a physical, it's like a mechanical thing, like your tires being out of line.
The Celtics had been stunned by Game 1 and held practice behind closed doors in an attempt to regroup. Something had to be done. Inside, the Celtics had to have been confused. They had been run ragged by the Laker break, and their game plan had come up empty. Robert Parish had been overmatched in the pivot, stifling their defense, and although Kevin McHale had played well, the Celtic fortunes rested even more heavily in the hands of Larry Bird. Larry Bird was the league's premier all-round player and Boston's favorite, and Michael Cooper, perhaps the league's best on defense, was assigned to guard him.
Well, you don't stop a Larry Bird. What you try to do is contain them, make them take something that they don't want to take. Instead of giving Larry a 15-footer, we'd like to have him to take a 18-footer with a hand or two hands in his face.